Amanda Overstreet was born on March 4, 1989. She was adopted at the age of 3 by her grandparents, Nelda and James Overstreet, and lived with them in Kuntz, Texas. Amanda was described as eccentric, boisterous, and uniquely spirited. As a young girl, she stood out in every way. Amanda was attending Warren High School until 2005, when her grandmother Nelda was diagnosed with terminal cancer. The diagnosis forced Nelda to leave her job as a local math teacher, and Amanda had to move out of state to live with her biological mother, Leanne Eimer, stepfather, Bradley Eimer, and younger sister, Elsie. The move to Grand Junction, Colorado, marked a devastating turn in Amanda's life. Unfortunately, the Eimer household was far from welcoming, and Amanda struggled to fit in. Feeling rejected, she confided in her mother about her desire to return to Texas. Leanne then told the family in Texas that she planned to bring her back, but she never showed up with her. Leanne claimed that Amanda had run away during a stop at a Texas truck stop. After this, no one heard from Amanda again. Bradley reportedly harbored open disdain for Amanda, referring to her as the devil's child and expressing relief when she allegedly ran away. His comments, such as "thank God she's gone," painted a grim picture of her treatment in the home. When her grandmother, Nelda, passed away in July 2005, Amanda never showed up to the funeral, raising further questions as to her whereabouts. Unfortunately, she was not reported missing. In 2017, Amanda's high school friends, Tasha Hester and Jennifer Weiler, launched a Facebook page titled Searching for and Remembering Amanda L. Overstreet. The initiative reignited interest in Amanda's case. While the effort brought awareness, Amanda's family gave strange responses to inquiries. Leanne, in particular, insisted Amanda had run away and requested her friends to stop searching. As for Bradley, he passed away from COVID in 2021. By this time, the Eimer home had deteriorated into a hoarded, uninhabitable state. Photos from inside revealed trash, exposed sewer lines, and rooms piled with junk. The bathtub was used as a makeshift toilet, and the front yard was cluttered with discarded appliances and furniture. In January 2024, Leanne sold the home to a realtor who planned to remodel and resell it. Among the many items included in the sale was an old chest freezer, which the new homeowner offered for free to a local buyer. When the buyer attempted to empty the freezer's contents, they made a horrifying discovery. Inside black garbage bags were partial human remains. Police confirmed through DNA that the remains belonged to Amanda, who had now been missing for nearly 20 years. A bullet hole in the skull indicated she had been murdered. Leanne claimed to authorities that Bradley had tried to return Amanda to Texas in 2005. According to her, Bradley came home claiming Amanda had run away but brought back deer meat for the freezer, an ominous detail given the discovery years later. Neighbors recalled Bradley casually stating that Amanda had run away during that time, further fueling suspicions about his involvement. Over the years, the Eimer household had drawn attention from neighbors and authorities. Child Protective Services visited multiple times due to concerns for Elsie, Amanda's younger sister. Despite neighbors helping clean the house on several occasions, it repeatedly returned to a hoarded state. As of November 2024, Amanda's case remains unsolved. While Leanne and Bradley are the primary suspects, no arrests have been made. Leanne has since checked into a mental institution, and her surviving children, Elsie and Anthony, have requested privacy. Despite the shocking freezer discovery, the backyard has yet to be excavated, leaving the possibility that more of Amanda's remains might still be buried there. Questions also remain about whether Leanne knew about the freezer's gruesome contents. Some speculate that she may have been unaware, as the freezer was never hidden or disposed of. Nevertheless, the lack of action or accountability continues to haunt Amanda's story. Amanda's tragic story is one of neglect, abuse, and years of silence. Investigators continue to piece together the details of Amanda's life and untimely death, but until answers are found, her case stands as a chilling reminder of how easily some stories can fade into obscurity, only to resurface in the most horrifying ways. Annita Maria Price was born on March 20, 1947 in New Jersey. After losing her father at the age of 4, Annita and her family relocated to West Virginia. By 1974, at 27 years old, Annita was a mother of 2, living in Benwood, West Virginia. She worked at a local hotspot called Flamingo Club and was known for her outgoing and family-oriented nature. However, her life was fraught with challenges. She was in the middle of a contentious divorce and custody battle with her husband, Leonard Price. On the evening of May 30, 1974, Annita left her home shortly before 9 p.m. in her boyfriend's 1970s AMC Gremlin to head to work at the Flamingo Club. The drive was a short 4-minute trip, but Annita never arrived. Hours later, her car was found abandoned along Route 2 at 12th Street in McMecken, heading southbound. The scene, unfortunately, offered few clues. Inside the car, her purse, wallet, and makeup were found, but there were no signs of a struggle. In 1974, forensic technology was very limited, and the vehicle was not processed as a crime scene. Annita's absence was deeply out of character, but despite an initial investigation, leads were scarce, and her case quickly grew cold. Over the years, tips trickled in, and in 2002, one suggested she had been shot with a small-caliber handgun and buried along Route 2. Another lead in 2016 pointed to her remains potentially being near the Certainty Gypsum plant in Proctor, West Virginia, about 20 minutes south of where her car was found. Between 2004 and 2006, small-scale excavations were conducted near Moundsville, where cadaver dogs had alerted to possible human remains, but nothing was found. 10 years later, cadaver dogs alerted again to the same location. This prompted Annita's family to hire a private contractor to perform ground-penetrating radar scans, which revealed a disturbance in the ground. However, efforts to excavate the site were halted twice due to instability and water drainage issues, making the area unsafe for digging. In reviewing the case decades later, investigators revisited old police interviews and uncovered discrepancies. Much of the scrutiny fell on Annita's brother, Bobby Elkins, whose actions after her disappearance raised questions. In 2005, he told police that he was unaware Annita had moved into an apartment. However, private investigators had seen him at the apartment on 3 occasions in October 1973, months before her disappearance. I'm assuming the private investigators were part of the divorce stuff. Then, less than a week after Annita was reported missing, Bobby abruptly vacated his apartment, gave away his car, quit his job, and left his final paycheck uncollected. Also, during one of the police interviews, he admitted to taking items from Annita's apartment before leaving town, but he never disclosed this to law enforcement. These actions left her family questioning why Bobby would leave so suddenly, why he removed items from her apartment, and why he withheld information about her living arrangements. Leonard Price, Annita's estranged husband, was ruled out as a suspect and has since passed away. After Annita disappeared, he raised their children, and only decades later did they reconnect with Annita's side of the family. Together, they have worked tirelessly to find answers, but the road has been long and challenging. Annita's case remains open, but the search for her remains has stalled due to the high cost of excavation and the technical challenges of working at the suspected burial site. Her family continues to seek closure, hoping advancements in technology or new information will lead to a breakthrough. At the time of her disappearance, Annita stood 6 feet tall and had brown hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing yellow shorts and a blue shirt. As a child, she suffered severe burns in an accident, leaving extensive scars across her torso, neck, upper thighs, and left arm, details that could assist in identifying her remains. Annita went missing on May 30th, 1974, and as of November 2024, Annita's case remains unsolved. Despite decades of effort, no arrests have been made, and her family is left grappling with unanswered questions. Annita's story is a haunting reminder of how easily a life can be erased, and how determined loved ones must be to ensure it is not forgotten. Diana Davis was born on June 25, 1970 in Korea. By the age of 50, she was a devoted grandmother living in Tacoma, Washington. Known for her joyous, free spirit, Diana was deeply loved by her family and friends. She was described as a wonderful mother and grandmother who enjoyed gardening and worked part-time as a nurse's assistant. On July 27, 2020, Diana spoke with her son on the phone, mentioning her plans to tend to her vegetable plot at Tacoma's Proctor Community Garden. Surveillance footage later showed her visiting a hardware store in Tacoma where she spent 45 minutes but didn't purchase anything. A few hours later, at 7:46 p.m., Diana's phone pinged in the Seattle area near Lumen Field. After that, she was never seen alive again, and her phone was never recovered. 2 days later, Tacoma police responded to reports of a car fire in an alley in the 1600 block of Court East. The burning vehicle, a Chevy Impala with its license plates removed, was registered to Diana. Inside the car, investigators found her purse, but there was no sign of her. Over a week after her disappearance, on August 5, 2020, a dog walker discovered her body in the woods about 70 miles east of Tacoma. The medical examiner determined that she had died from blunt force trauma to the head, and her death was ruled a homicide. As investigators delved into Diana's case, they uncovered her activity on a dating site, raising the theory that she had gone to meet someone in person. Then a striking connection emerged when Diana's case and another chilling murder involving Leticia Martinez, a Seattle woman who went missing nearly 3 years later under eerily similar circumstances. In both cases, Diana and Leticia were active on dating sites. Both women's vehicles were set on fire shortly after their disappearances. Both were killed in the Seattle-Tacoma area near prominent landmarks like Lumen Field and Mariner Stadium, and the brutality of the murders and the disposal of their bodies in isolated locations suggested a calculated and violent offender. Leticia had disappeared on March 31, 2023, and vanished after attending a Seattle Mariners game with a man she had recently met online. Before she disappeared, Leticia sent her family and friends a selfie with the man, later identified as 46-year-old Brett Gitchell. Days later, Leticia's car was found on fire, and her body was discovered on April 12, 2023, in a ditch near Seattle. She had sadly been strangled to death. Gitchell was then charged with Leticia's murder, as well as kidnapping her young adult son, whom he had lured into a vehicle by claiming Leticia was in an accident. The boy narrowly escaped with his life after Gitchell tried to strangle him as well. When police apprehended him, he had visible scrapes on his arms and face, which he claimed were unrelated to the crime. Gitchell is currently awaiting trial in King County, Washington, and is facing multiple charges, including murder and kidnapping. As for Diana, no charges have been filed against Gitchell in connection to her death. Diana Davis was a loving grandmother, mother, and friend whose life was tragically cut short. Her family continues to seek answers and justice for her murder, and as of November 2024, this case remains unsolved. Juanita Jones was born in 1957 and grew up in a small, close-knit community. By the age of 32, she was living in Houghton, Bossier Parish, Louisiana, after completing 4 years of honorable service as a specialist in the U.S. Army. Described as a nurturing mother figure to her brothers, Juanita had no children of her own, but was deeply loved by her family. She was working at a Circle K gas station in Houghton and pursuing her dream of starting a barbecue stand in the area. On November 13, 1989, Juanita was working the late shift alone at the Circle K, which is now a Domino's Pizza. That night, 2 masked men entered the store with sinister intentions. They stole the money from the register, shot Juanita in the head, leaving her critically injured, and then fled the scene. Sadly, 5 days later, she succumbed to her injuries. Juanita's death sent shockwaves through the small town of Houghton. She was known for her kind, maternal nature and her ambition to better her life after serving her country. At the time, detectives followed several promising leads, but none led to arrest. Investigators believed the killers likely knew Juanita and were familiar with her schedule, suggesting they either lived in the area or had family ties to Houghton or nearby Shreveport. Despite their efforts, the case eventually went cold. More than 3 decades later, detectives are still searching for answers and believe someone in the community may hold the key to solving the case. Juanita Jones was murdered on November 13, 1989, and as of November 2024, her case remains unsolved. Nicholas Thomas Swanson, known to friends and family as Nick, was born on December 7, 1984. He graduated from Larkin High School in 2003 and was known for his selflessness and kind nature. At age 20, Nick lived in Elgin, Illinois, where he was described as someone who always put others before himself. He enjoyed helping his neighbors by plowing their driveways and never drank alcohol or smoked. On the night of February 11, 2005, a teenage party involving alcohol was underway at a home on Oak Tree Lane. The host's parents were out of town, and a simmering feud between 2 groups of boys, one from Burlington Central High School and the other from St. Charles North High School, was about to erupt. Over the previous weeks, tensions had grown, reportedly over a girl or a typical high school rivalry. Around 2 a.m., the disagreement escalated into a violent confrontation at the intersection of Corin Road and Oak Tree Lane, just feet from Bowes Creek. About 16 boys and young men, ages 16 to 20, arrived armed with baseball bats, 2x4s, and at least 1 stun gun. A group from Burlington Central, including a senior and 3 friends, attempted to sneak up on the boys from St. Charles North, but their approach was noticed. Initially, the 2 groups managed to talk, seemingly avoiding a physical altercation. However, one boy shouted that he had come to fight, not talk, and chaos erupted. The fight was heavily one-sided, with a 3-to-1 numerical disadvantage for the Burlington group. Nick's younger brother, Eric Swanson, was among the boys involved in the brawl. Eric texted Nick for help, waking him from sleep. Nick quickly left home, reassuring their mother Debbie that he would be right back. She had no way of knowing it would be the last time she would see her son alive. Nick called his close friend Ryan Toomey, a sophomore at Burlington Central, who had been watching a movie at home. When Ryan arrived at the scene, he was struck in the head with a bottle. When Nick arrived and stepped out of his truck, he was immediately hit in the back of the head with a fatal blow from an object, possibly a board, pool cue, or beer bottle. He was rushed to the hospital but was pronounced dead at 3:38 a.m. on February 12, 2005. In the aftermath, 4 teenagers were charged with various offenses, including aggravated battery, mob action, unlawful use of a weapon, and obstructing justice. However, no one has been charged with Nick's death. The case has been overshadowed by silence, with those involved refusing to talk. Families of the St. Charles North boys were said to have connections in the local court system and the resources to hire top lawyers, further complicating the pursuit of justice. Nick was tragically killed on February 12, 2005, and as of November 2024, his case remains unsolved.